This particular scene takes place about a night after the Cheyron incident. Mutt has, after leaving the warehouse where Axel and Stefan, have schemed their little scheme for Mr. Roy Marshall, Mutt takes a taxi, heads first to Lacey's house, gives the taxi driver a nice tip to give him to wait a little bit as he goes through some items to see if he can find a particular item. It takes him a little while, but he eventually finds it, a nice, beautiful looking bag, velvet. Inside it, a particular gift for someone. He returns to the taxi cab and tells him, take me to this distinct address. This address is the home of Howard Holiday, Mutt's friend, ally, and recently victim of Roy Marshall's antics. Mutt does not say a word as the cab drives him off to that area, but for some reason or another, perhaps there is, despite the lack of people on the streets, despite the lack of police in certain areas, maybe just the fact that the Cheyron group, just the fact that there was an assailant with a gun, there is some moniker of noise, some moniker of people on the streets, and so that keeps Mutt just a little bit longer than he would appreciate till he finally arrives. Maybe almost 30 minutes to 45 minutes to Mr. Howard Holiday's home.
Howard is sitting in his, just in his sitting room in his very large home again, just pondering what he's going to do. Just thinking about what happened that night with that Roy fellow and how basically everything went south so quicker than he thought it would have been. His two pets are still scurrying around the room playing, and he is just very agitated right now. It's quite early for him to be up. And during this time, he has just been sitting there pondering and reading and thinking about what Axel said to him about how he needs to objectively better himself. Still reading through his book, Atlas Shrugged. Only halfway through the John Galt speech.
It is at this time a knock on the door.
Closes the book and proceeds to go to the door and open it. His two pets are with him at this time. One of them is crawled up onto his shoulder yet again, and the other is just scurrying around in the main entranceway room. Howard proceeds to open the door. Oh, Mutt? Oh, hello. It's good to see you.
Mutt is not wearing his leather jacket, the iconic costume of this Brujad. No, he's wearing a hoodie, unfortunately. Hello, Howard. Can I come in?
Yes, sure. He opens the door for you and closes it as you walk in. You probably have noticed the two rats that are basically scurrying around in here.
New roommates, Howard?
Oh no, I've had these two for a while now. I think just the last time you were over, they were in the basement.
I see. Well, they look healthy.
Yes, they are.
Unfortunately, Mutt actually will take out the velvet bag. Said, Howard, this is for you. I've been meaning to give this to you, but well, you know how it is.
Oh, thank you.
He hands Howard the necklace. Picture, because I don't think I have essentially for you, the lovely viewing audience, and for Mr. Howard Holiday, it is a wolf head necklace with a mouth. It's open. Its maw is open, and there is actually a little bit of red. There is a red upon the. I found it. For all intents and purposes, the Witcher. The Witcher. Let me just put it right here, if you all will actually. For all intents and purposes, Mr. Holiday will see this item that with a hint of red upon the mouth, as if bloodied.
Oh, it's very beautiful. Thank you, Mutt.
Yes, Miss Solier's made it for you.
Oh, well, you'll have to tell her I said thank you.
I will. I'm glad that you like it. However, Howard, the reason why I'm here is not exactly just to give you this. You can kind of have a guess as to why I'm here.
Yes, about the incident.
Yes.
Please, we should talk about this in the sitting room. But would you like anything to drink by any chance?
No, Howard. Everything. I'm fine.
All right. Howard leads you into the sitting room. It's much more clean than last time it was. Like it's very just this place is. There is no dust that you can see anywhere. It's very neat and tidy and very with less buckets in the room. And he sits down. The two rats they sit up on a small stool. They're basically staring at you at this point.
Mutt'll stare at them. Not to cause them any trouble. They don't seem like the types to cause trouble at all. He'll turn his attention then, if Howard is still in the room.
Oh yeah, he's sitting right across from you.
Howard, Axel talked to me recently about what happened. Now, I will say this. Roy's antics, what he did, does not in any way, shape, or form was not from my permission. I wanted to go to the planning meeting. I really did. Unfortunately, some things prevented me from getting there. Roy went with the intention of telling me whether or not the Bruja should have gotten involved in it. And he'll show Howard the text saying don't bother, as in Bruja were not going to get involved in the matter. Now, Howard, from what Axel told me, he told me that Mr. Roy Marshall threatened you and went back on his word. Now, I need you, if you can provide me with an answer to this, could you perhaps tell me why he was there?
I have no idea as to why he was there. I thought he was just going with. I thought it was him and Zach at first that were just were planning this, but later found out that was untrue. He just seemed to be there and to cause more problems. It just seemed because he was insulting the entire group. He was making advances upon Natalie, and he was also just blundering around, acting like a fool the entire time.
I see. So not only does he do those things, he lied to me. Howard, I want to say this to you. I am sorry. I am. I am very sorry that you went through that. I am very sorry that Roy put you in that position. And I am sorry that he threatened you. And you'll see a bit of coldness escape his face as he says this, but he will learn. He will learn very quickly. He will learn extremely quickly what it means to lie to the whip and to put people that he puts faith and trust in danger for no reason.
Thank you, Mutt. I am also taking responsibility for for my actions as well that night, because I am the one who in the end did fire the gun, and I am also the one who let that Brit decide to push me around. I have to take responsibility. I have to objectively better myself in that position, but I thank you so much for letting me know that he is going to get what's coming to him.
Yes. I want to say too much because I don't know exactly what is planned, but for all intents and purposes, this Roy, he will be the bridge that helps mend what was damaged that night. It will do much more. He has essentially strengthened our friendships, our trusts, and more importantly, he will know why I am the whip of the Brujo. And for all intents and purposes, why I don't like liars.
Howard, he gives a smile. It's not really a smile at first. You notice it almost looks like it's just a smile of like, almost malicious, but it looks more like he's trying to hide a different emotion. Just for a split second, you notice this. Oh, and also I have two things to give to you, Mutt.
Really?
Yes. Well, first, I bought the drum machine.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yes. Howard goes and gets a box out of the corner of the room. It's a pretty nice one. It looks like it cost a bit of money. The price tag, of course, has already been ripped off. Yeah, I got it at a little shop down by the boardwalk. And one thing, if you see Natalie again, I would like you to give this to her. I believe this belongs to her. And he proceeds to pull out a pistol that might look familiar to Mutt. Howard doesn't know this, but he knows that he knows that he knows Natalie, and he gives it to him.
Mutt will take the pistol, and he'll. There is perhaps a little zipper inlined under the hoodie. He'll just kind of put that in there, zip it up, kind of pat it a little bit. When I see Natalia, I'll make sure to give that to her. Good on you. Howard, do you, well, from what I heard, they said it was a rifle that was shot?
It was the pistol, actually.
The pistol, actually, I see.
Yes. You might have heard that there might have been some miscommunication. There was a rifle taken with us, but it was never used.
Okay.
It was the one that is hanging above my fireplace.
I see. Well,
that was our plan. That was plan D. I would think. Wait. No, Plan E, I'm sorry.
I see. Well, again, I am sorry that you all were put in such a situation because of him. Again, he will be dealt with. However, despite Roy's antics, I think we could both agree Mr. Voltaire is more than partially to blame for the situation.
I will agree with you there. I don't know if how your relationship with him is, how you two know each other. I don't know if you hate each other. He is a friend. He is a friend, but I still am blaming him heavily for this because he had no evidence to go on.
Exactly.
The suspicions were there, and I do agree that there was very many suspicious things because I was talking to Stone before he was taken. He popped out of an alleyway when I was outside of the restaurant, and we just started speaking. He was very drunk. He was acting quite nervous, and I could kind of sense there was something wrong with him. And oddly enough, when he went inside, he sat down with the man who took him later, and when I noticed something that at one point, I believe he came out of the bathroom. Weirdly enough, he wasn't stumbling. He was completely sober, it looked like. And that was very odd because the man was basically completely drunk when I first spoke with him.
Well,
there was odd things going on. I don't know. I mean, the Sherion organization, from what I have found out, it is a pharmaceutical company. So maybe he was testing one of their products. I don't know.
Well, from what I was told from two other kindred, one of them said he was, honestly, it didn't seem worth the time. He was a human, nothing more, nothing less. The other said there is definitely something going on. I was in the middle. That's why I wanted to go to the meeting, to decide for myself, unfortunately. It seemed that my initial suspicions that Mr. Voltaire's plan, if I can even call it that, was extremely flawed from the start. I'm honestly, if you'll have to beg perhaps my rudeness in this situation, but I'm honestly very surprised that all of you came out of it more or less all right. Granted, the incident with Roy and you, Howard, I'm not saying that was that nobody died is what I'm trying to imply.
Yes, it was very frightening, though. I was terrified of what was happening around me. Alarms and sirens going off, and all of a sudden, a freaking helicopter. They had a helicopter on standby for if anything went wrong. That was horrifying.
I would have to, hearing this kind of information, I think Mr. Voltaire is, even if there is something going on, even if there is something that should be investigated, it's against a corporation that really, just from what I have heard, is going to be almost impossible unless you plan weeks, months before. This is not something you plan literally in a night. That was Mr. Voltaire's problem. Granted, timing could have caused this issue, but to look into something like this, it takes a long time. And this is coming from a street thug. Let that sink in, Howard, that a street thug who would more than likely smash someone's back door to steal from somewhere. And he says, to do something like that, you were very not smart. To do that immediately.
I am very impatient sometimes. I guess that could be.
Not you, Howard. No, not you. I'm talking about Mr. Voltaire's plan.
Oh, yes.
No.
I did want to actually, at that point, leave because all we were trying to do, they were. I don't know if they were actually going to get into the building at that point. The reason I think why they needed distraction was because they wanted to tap into the cameras, and I think that was their plan. And I was supposed to just get the guards' attention. Well, Roy was originally supposed to, of course, and that just did not work.
I see.
Yes. There are suspicions, but they are only suspicions.
Yes, that is. I will say this about I'll say this, Howard. Mr. Voltaire has put himself in a situation where he needs to put up or shut up. In this case, he has not put up the information. He has not put up evidence to, honestly, he should have been extremely lucky that he got the people to follow him in this situation. I would have to say he'd have to be extremely lucky that nobody died, that nobody got caught. But Mr. Voltaire is on extremely thin ice. So he needs to really shut up at this point until he can actively make something worth people's time.
Very true.
Mutt he'll smile at Howard and just kind of say, but I'll have to say, Howard, I am glad that you're okay. I am. I'm glad that when it's all said and done, you got out of it. Everyone got out of it. That's what's important.
Thank you, friend.
Mutt will get up and he'll kind of tap, or rather, he'll pat Howard on the shoulder. Let this incident, let this be let this be a reminder. Let this be the thing that changes people for the better. Lets people get smarter. Lets people know when to hold them, when to fold them, when it's smart to not do something. And let it remind us that to make sure that you can back up your words with proper evidence. Now, if Mr. Voltaire wants anyone else, he'll have to work extremely hard now. Mutt will actually kind of smile a little bit. If Howard sees this, you'll actually see a bit of this is a kind of a very happy-ish kind of smirk. I want to see, Mr. Voltaire, his actions. It's not very becoming of a suit now, is it? Wasting people's time, putting people in danger. You would think that he's almost a Bruja in that aspect. Very unbecoming, very uncouth of him. He'll pat Howard on the shoulder again. He'll look to the drum machine as if he's not sure if Howard wants him to take it or if it's Howard's to keep.
Yeah. Howard actually sort of gives the go-ahead for it at that point. So
he'll graciously take the drum machine. Perhaps if there is a box, some sort of thing to put.
No, it's in a box. It's like with a handle on it and everything.
Okay, good. He'll take it and put it under his shoulder, right here. He'll smile again at Howard. Like, thanks. I hope that you like the necklace. I'm glad that you do.
He did actually. I forgot to mention this before. He is wearing it right now, like around his neck.
Good. Wear it with pride.
I will.
Mutt will walk to Howard's door as if about ready to leave. If Howard needed to say anything extra, Mutt would stop to listen. If there's nothing else to be needed, Mutt will leave.
Howard actually does stop him to say just to have a good night and stay safe out there, and he extends his hand for a handshake.
Mutt will take Howard's hand, shake it. He'll actually bring him in close, like very close, as in like a nice bro hug kind of thing. Even though he's got a thing right here, he'll just say, "You too, Howard. You too." With that, Mutt will leave Howard's establishment, calling another cab. He'll head back to.
But well, before probably as the cab is pulling up,
Yes.
you may hear him. I'd say you'd probably hear this because there is an open window actually in Howard's for the sitting room that it faces outwards, and you might just faintly hear sort of a singing voice, and it just. He soundly slept, curled up in some dark pit, and two little wolf cubs slept, still completely blind. And the old wolf, veteran who knew life well, lifted his head and growled so menacingly. I was jerked by the tremors. Suddenly a vile scent around me, a scent which surpasses peace and rips apart every dream. And the hunt for young wolves begun.
Hearing this, this little, perhaps a song, Mike can do nothing but smile a little bit as the cab comes and takes him off. Perhaps to Lacey's place. Perhaps he needs to make some calls to someone. That is for a later time. Mutt rubbing the drum machine in his hands can do nothing but smile as the scene comes to its conclusion.